topic number 2, modular Archwings. Will it happen or not? In the last dev stream, we got a non-committal answer about whether or not modular Archwings was happening at all. It would be nice if we could get a full answer on whether or not it's happening.
Huh?
That's the topic. Loz sat down. Preparation for
I need a
drink.
drink.
Okay, he's getting a drink.
It's definitely a good moment to have a drink, because this is yet another one of those little bits of things that they told us about and just haven't followed through on yet.
But we've had other stuff like this. We've had Neff and Durfanyo, the boss fight that never came.
Yeah, but that one's really old. There's like, I think the same time as Modular Archwing, we also have the Sprag and Tell boss fight, the Mercurius and V8 boss fights. The updates for them.
There we go. Oh, Jesus Christ, I completely forgot about those.
Yeah, that's another
And
thing
so
that is
DE.
like, it's like they say it's finished, and it's like they just haven't released it, or you know, a lot of work's done on it. It's nearly finished, and you just title it up. Same thing with the Ghoul Saw. Like, you know, when was that supposed to come out? And it's just been the last, partly because of COVID, but I think even before that. I think before, what came sort of before Deimos? What's the biggest up? Railjack, yeah. Working towards that first Railjack, and then trying to fix it, I think, and then trying to like divert into other things and reassessing their order of things has just been a complete mess for the last 2 years. I think it's something like that. But lots of things have fallen by the wayside, like Pets 2.0, Modular Archwings, that Sprag and Tell boss fight, you know.
I don't know how fair it is to say that.
Everyone's had
some
disruptions because of last year. I
well,
appreciate
no.
that.
Regardless of last year,
Yeah.
a part of me does agree with you. But one thing I can say is the dynamic flow of internal projects. I mean, like there's always this one. I don't know if it was a written interview or if it was a video interview. There was one thing. I think it was part of No Clip, the No Clip documentary, where Steve was having a discussion with the developer. The developer was saying that, you know, you've asked me to change again what you've already asked me to do. Like, I've got this document here, this Google Doc, that says you've asked me to do X, Y, and Z, and now you're asking me to do STU, right? Why are you changing it all? And Steve's response was, we're making a game, we're not making a Google Doc.
Yeah.
I can completely get behind that mentality, because that developer was very clearly coming from a digital agency perspective. Like, this is a large part of my job, where, you know, you are given a specific task that is exactly what we are paid to do by another business. But when you're working on something for your own team, your own company or whatever, you've got to do what's right for the company, right? So you might start working on it. Case in point, the Kingpin system. I'm pretty sure with the Kingpin system, they pretty much mimicked the Nemesis system from name of the game,
Lord of the Rings.
Shadow of Mordor. Lord of the Rings, fine. Verbatim, and then wait, is verbatim the right word? Exactly, like 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if they copied it exactly, and then felt that like, this doesn't feel Warframe, and then they held off releasing it. I remember episode 200 of 10 o'clock when we had Megan on, and she basically said, "Yeah, we have to shelve it."
Yeah. No, I think the term was back burner.
Well, maybe she said that. Maybe I said that. I love.
I think it was their term. No, but
Okay.
There's also more to it though, because they did actually start showing that in points, and I think there was also more of a bigger issue as to sort of the scope of the system, because it was supposed to be a clan-based thing. There was going to be the room. Huh?
Yeah, you're right. It was.
So there was that room where it was kind of like
massive scope creep.
Yes, yeah, and it was going to be like you would send people off to get like information about the next kingpin or against the next step, and it'd be like everyone would be working together on a big system, and there'd be like as you say, the Lord of the Rings sort of tally board with the people at the bottom, people at the top, and you'd be working your way up, kind of thing. And they just completely reworked it down to the single player point of view, which is good in some ways, but I think they really missed the boat because that would have really made clans interesting again. I really think it would have been solid clan content. But they probably went all about the solo players, and it's just like, oh god, the whole game always gets bent over for the solo players. Now, I know, there's people who can't play. Some people can't play in open worlds because they're machines. Some people can't play in clans. Some people don't want to play in clans. Some people have issues they can't play in it. But then make it that there's other ways they can access the rewards of the thing, but they can't access the system. But at some point, we have to come up with content like trials for groups of players. I'm mainly a solo player, especially when it comes to the latest World of Warcraft expansion. I play solo a lot. I didn't play group stuff, but I still see the importance of it for the health of the game. And there was something that was lost in that. Sorry, back to your point.
Well, I mean, the point I was trying to make, and I hope I succeeded, was the fact that they had this intention with the Kingpin system that they felt that they couldn't meet when they originally released it. And I wouldn't be surprised if with the Modular Archwings, when it was first announced back in, I want to say TennoCon 2019, right? I think it was the last physical one that was held in London, Ontario. That they've released this stuff for Railjack and things, and it's just made them go, Archwing is not what we originally intended it to be. Archwing is just a glorified transportation system.
I think you got the point
here. It
really
is.
Yeah, it really is. It doesn't have any purpose at all. You barely can. I mean, I know some people say, "Oh, Loz, you should be using the Amisha. The Amisha's amazing," and it's like, but most of the time, you don't even need to use the abilities on the Archwing. I know you can, but maybe they help a little bit. But really, you can just get by without doing them. Just ignore them. And so, what's the point of modularizing that? It's like, oh, you can have this ability and this ability and this ability. I don't use any of them. What's the point? It's just purely cosmetic. So maybe they're going to wait till they can actually redo, because maybe they were trying to do it with Railjack, but Railjack needed more Railjack work, and so the Archwing side of things just fell. They didn't add any content for that side of it, so it just became transport system. Hopefully, maybe in the future there'll be more Archwing stuff, and they'll give a reason to have the Archwing parts be improved. Hopefully.
Yeah, I agree with that one. It has to be something that actually makes the Archwings a little bit usable outside of just transportation.
But they need content for that first.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the only thing that will make them usable as anything other than transportation is something to use them on. If I had to go with it, I would say the more that they expand what missions can be used in the current Railjack, like survival, like spy, all these other things, I think the more ways we need to be able to get there, more requirements that could be, no, I say requirements, wrong word, more things you can do in the Railjack missions that lead into these other missions.
More options.
Yeah, more options. So you mentioned that you want to see the return of the stealthy Archwing. Yeah. So what's stopping them from doing anything that actually says, yep, you've spawned the Railjack mission, here's your Railjack doing a few things, but wait, now your Railjack is going to compromise the mission if you keep going. You need to go in a little bit smaller, and you have to go to Archwing, perform some tasks, and that's the other side of things. Is there does need to be missions that are done that do not focus on the core, because the Grineer ones have missions that are pure Railjack. The Corpus ones don't have that anymore.
No.
So maybe the missions that are pure Railjack would have stages that need to be done in Archwing.
Yes, yeah. So that content becomes Railjack and Archwing content, and then the ones we've got, like the Corpus ones, are Railjack and core content.
I have a question for the both of you.
3.
How would you? It's not a numerical based answer.
Right.
You're close, but it's true or false. No. Anyway, I just said not numerical. Right.
Fish.
Anyway, Anyway, how would you guys feel about the Corpus capital ships having an optional secondary mission, right, which requires you to do a Corpus trench run Archwing mission in Railjack first before you could do this other capital ship mission, and that other capital ship mission could give you shit ton of rewards. So in fact, it's like 3 layers deep as opposed to 2.
False.
Does that make sense?
I'm actually with this idea. The idea of a staged mission for Railjack, where you have a thing to get the cruise ships out of the way, and clear the fighter squadron off. Then you have to go into Archwing to do the trench run, which opens up the ship defenses, and then you have a mission in the ship. But it has to be one of the quick missions. It can't be and go in for survival.
I'd also love to squad link that.
Yes, that would be a fantastic one for squad link, because you could come in with a partner Railjack, or with a team that's already on the ship, spawns into the ship as if it was a regular mission, and you then have to do these other things on the outside. So they are doing some defense mission, and we're clearing off the fighter cover and the cruise ships in order for the defense objective to be extracted at the end of the mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm totally down for this. I really like the idea of actually, giving the Archwing missions this substance which currently just doesn't exist at the moment. I'll be honest, a large part of me says ditch off the whole modular Archwing. Take the designs of the modular Archwings and make them proper Archwings, because right now we don't have enough proper Archwings or enough to do with them. It just feels like they've got a system, and they're trying to make more value out of the system by, let's just pull it to pieces and then allow you to modularly pull it back together, like what's the name of the stupid guns? Kit guns or Zors. I'm like, nah, you haven't got enough guns or swords or anything to make that viable. Or sorry, you haven't got enough Archwings.
I'll give you an alternative angle on this.
Sure.
Look at what D have already done with a system where you can choose which results you want to get out of it. And you've got the Helminth unique abilities.
Yeah.
How many of those do you know that you would actually use in mission?
The only one that I do use is the power strength raw one.
Yeah, give you 50% extra power strength for when you cast your next ability.
Yeah. It's the only one I do use.
There's a few other niche ones. There's the one that pulses out damage based on on you marking an enemy beforehand. That's not great anymore. They nerfed it quite heavily.
Yeah,
gotta nerf those things.
It's usable. There's Andy will tell you that the Helminth mobility is actually quite good for his racing modes. But other than that,
actually, talking about racing mode, I was thinking to myself, why can't we have, the pursuit Archwing mission, not the rush one where you have to do the trench run, the pursuit one where you have to go chase that Grenier ship out in Roadfield. Why can't we have something like that in the plains, right? Where you are on your Archwing and you've got to chase this ship that's flying around the plains. Maybe it's just dropping bombs everywhere, and you got to shoot the ship down.
Yeah, that's a fantastic mode. You could do that for the plains, for the Old Valis. Old Valis is bigger, so you could get away with it more there. Maybe you could call it something like supply intercept or something. So that ship is going to carpet drop supplies to the Corpus troops, and you have to kill it, or you have to go there and shoot the things it drops before they hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. That would work as an in-atmosphere extra mode. And hell, the pursuit mode in Railjack. Why don't we have, rather than a trench run, a race version?
The
Or
problem,
you wouldn't have to have it competitive, but you could have it rather than pursuing a target that you have to destroy. You have to get to a location and destroy another target first.
so I would be fine with this if the acceleration of the Archwing was, well, the acceleration was on a linear scale, as opposed to just you're either going full out or you're not going at all, right? On a very digital yes no based system. I don't think it works on controllers. I honestly don't know, but unless you can control that speed, the brakes, and things like that, I don't think Archwing could really work in that kind of vehicle mindset. But I'm not opposed to that change, right? Whenever I am playing games like, oh god, Cyberpunk 2077 or Grand Theft Auto 5 or whatever, I will use my keyboard and mouse to do all the shooting and whatever, but then I'll use a controller to do the driving, because it is so much easier to control a vehicle with these analog inputs than with the digital. Oh, I'm going full 90 degrees left now. Oh, full 90 degrees right now. You know, I much prefer, and I think Archwing could really benefit from a analog acceleration deceleration system.
Yes, it could.
Not quite sure if I was going to sleep.
No, I'm here, just resting my legs. It's tiring standing up for so long. No, I'm with you.
And
you
your eyes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's not like, yeah, it's not like we could tell if you could be asleep right now, Loz, and we have no idea until you don't respond.
If I collapse like this, then you'll know. Yeah, it's like sideways.
We need a set of googly eyes on his Xcal. That's what we need.
But they'll always be open. We wouldn't know if he's closed his eyes or not.
Oh no, if he closes his eyes, they vanish.
Oh. But I don't think he's got sensors in his helmet to see if his eyes are open.
And that's coming possibly in the next generation.
Are you serious?
Yeah, eye tracking and face tracking are the next things for VR. As part of the helmet. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's insane.
It's interesting because I think because from the people on YouTube that like doing these VR chat pranks and things do seem to have some remarkably mobile faces.
Yeah, one of the headsets has. Well, some of them do is they guess with your talking. The lip syncing's pretty good, but there is one of the helmets which has an attachment which comes down and it scans the bottom half of your face so it can track your mouth better. But eye tracking is something the next generation headset's going to have inbuilt. You know, it's got to be in there, looking at your eyes. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Railjack.
Sorry, no, modular Archwing.
Yeah. Well,
do you think Archwing could benefit from a VR mode?
Always needs more things.
Should we go to the replies?
Yeah, sure. Whoop. I can stand up and get back to my reply list. It's here. Okay, first one. No, please, no more modular items. I'm already in hell thinking about the kit guns and Zors I have to make. There is that. I mean, but yeah.
I think if we're gonna have modular Archwings, we need to be able to build like the full proper thing first before we can deconstruct it into the modular components.
But they'll probably add additional modular bits by themselves.
Yeah, but I just feel like right now, what we have 4 or 5 Archwings.
Yeah.
Right, compared to the how many hundreds of guns and melee weapons, and like, you know, we're not really at a point where modular Archwings are warranted.
I think when they showed off the modular thing, it does show you new bits which we don't have yet. In the diagrams
I completely agree. But the whole point is that, like, I just feel it's too soon.
Okay. Next bit is it's on the back burner because they have an issue with the current setup and how it can be transferred to the new system, namely some of the abilities. Originally, players would only play with the Itzel for one reason, Blink. The ability was so good they had to add it to every other Archwing, a pattern they had to do with the Sentinels and other companions with Vacuum. Now the meta shifted and the Amisha is being used exclusively for Watchful Storm. So if they do make modular Archwings, they must have a defensive ability equal to or better than Watchful Storm. Otherwise, the meta will stick to that alone, ignore all the rest of the all the rest of the options.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but
It's the same reason. The same reason to me is why they don't make modular warframes.
Yeah.
The closest you will get is the Helmin system, where you can put certain abilities onto another warframe, and only one at a time. They'll never let you custom design a warframe yourself with abilities you choose, because it will just be X defense ability, X CC ability, X damage ability, and Y healing ability. That's all it will be. There won't be any variants. There'll be just these people running around with the exact meta warframe.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there'll be like 2 or 3 meta warframes, but there'll be teams of just those, yeah. The next reply is, if Railjack is where they want all Archwing content to eventually go, then I would choose to build the Archwing that gives me the entire kit of the original Amisha anyway. Yeah, so you just build an Amisha, yeah. If they ever go...
that thing they said, didn't they? Sorry, they did say that if you when they switch over to this system, what players will receive is a fully built modular Archwing that contains all the functions of, an Itzel or an Amisha at base. So they swap it over to that. So they're not just like taking away your regular Archwings. They'll give you one that has these functions.
Oh yeah.
Based on the modular system instead.
Yes, yeah. It'll look like it'll be an Amisha. It probably even look like an Amisha. It'll probably act like an Amisha, but it would just be a modular put together Amisha. Yeah. The next one is, if they ever go through with this, the only way I could see it working is parts being swapped out on the fly, kind of like Railjack parts.
No, I can see it working.
We've already got kick guns and kick wet melee, so no.
I mean,
it's same system as skills.
Like the only reason why it would work like Railjack is if you can't have more than one Archwing, right?
Yes.
But that's already proven that you can, and like the reason why you would want this is because you want to get to the best thing as fast as possible. So yeah, no, I feel that comment is more in line with looking for the optimal build more than anything else.
Okay. The next point has a Tobiah note that says this is an actual comment, not DE. And it's DE. Oh shit, we thought no one remember that. Okay.
Yeah, it's it's like me. So it was like no one, absolutely no one, me, and then doing a thing with that kind of meme.
I think at this point, you know that people have very long memories. People don't forget stuff.
Yeah, but I just don't see how the modular Archwing fits in the current direction that the game's going in right now. They need to find a place to put it in, and it's like until Railjack is really fully fleshed out, this is definitely not happening anytime soon.
Yep. And I think the last 2 points exemplify this. So next one is, honestly, they may as well scrap it. I understand the intent behind it, but after a few days, the community will find the most optimized selection of parts, share it, and bam, everything else is wasted. Because if this leads to Amisha being reworked / removed, or has some of its abilities added to certain parts, or they give this system the same treatment as Railjack's and turn the abilities into mods.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And then just the final content, because it's final point, because it's so short, is they would need good content for them to go in, honestly. And that's a fair point.
That's the big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I really think that if there was a secondary mission on so you got your Corpus capital ship, you come in, and then you have you disable the capital ship, and you have 2 options. You can either do the normal mission, right? Be it an exterminate or whatever, or you could go do the core bench run, and then at the end of it, a capture, right? I think that is realistically the best way to integrate the two together. And then Loz turn into some diamonds.
Don't worry, I'm just
Counter
calibrating.
thing, why not use the system they've already got with the point of interest system, Xeno? They've got the points of interest. They've got these points of interest on the map. Why not make them, instead of being a separate thing off over there in the corner, you do the trench run to get the point of interest rewards?
You could do that as well. I think there is value, though, in having the a very specific focused mission, which is for Archwing. So like the Corpus Trench runs, they could do different things, like the great they have the way that they can combine the tiles and stuff with the Archwing missions that they couldn't do with the points of interest. The points of interest are predefined, static map layouts, right? So there's a place for both.
Yeah, and the more options, the better.
Yeah. And I think if those options were there, it would certainly incentivize players to actually do Archwing more. And I would be interested to see like how many people. So if you're given an option, right? So you've got 3 options in front of you. You've got Corpus straight into regular mission. Sorry, Corpus Railjack straight into regular mission. Corpus Railjack into Archwing into regular mission, or Corpus Railjack where you've got both paths. I wonder how many players would actually, how players would interact with it. Would players turn up, find out that there's an Archwing side to it, and then just abandon it, or what?
Not if there was a choice. So you have the mission type becomes, defense versus trench run.
I get where you're coming from, but I think there's some value in making it a blind box, because I think
that's where the bonus objective thing comes in. So you could go in for the defense thing, but if there's the optional thing, taking that as an optional Archwing thing leads you to the other option, leads you to the other outcome.
I do get where you're coming from, but part of the problem I feel with Archwing right now, part of the reason why it's getting cut from the main body of content, is no one plays Archwing, right? No one likes the state of Archwing that it's in right now, but no one has a solution on how to make it better. I remember when originally it came out, there was no 6 degrees of freedom, and then there was at least a general consensus: bring in 6 degrees of freedom. They did that, and then there was a small general consensus: take out 6 degrees of freedom.
Well, the 6 degrees of freedom was great, but it was that they built maps based on their original movement system, and they added this new movement system which wasn't working well with the bloody maps. All they needed to do was just scale up the maps by like 50% to allow for the turns and things, which you couldn't pull as much in the 60 degree freedom mode. But they didn't. They were just like, oh, people complaining now, we must remove this. It's like, no, it was really good. I loved it. 60 degree freedom, when that went, I was so sad. And then like, oh, we're not adding it in. Like, and so there was no content. It worked really well on the big open maps where you could fly around. You could fly underneath, weaving, and then come around behind some mobs and things. The problem was there was no content for it, and there were few maps that would utilize it well. That was the problem. And then they took it out because people whinged.
I do think that an analog acceleration and deceleration system for Archwing would also cater well to oh, I can't make this turn, I'm too fast, I'm taking it too wide. Well, I mean, to be fair, I say slow down all the time, but people don't want to bloody slow down.
The other thing is the Corpus Trench Run map, which is the big problem for it, right? Is that they didn't design it to be. They literally, it is designed to have traps on all the turns, to have like jagged things that stick out. When you're going down pipes, there's loads of things you can hit your face on. The trench run, the sci-fi trench run, was the Death Star trench run, was the first one, and that was literally just a rectangle. There was just turrets and things. I know games have made it a few like turns and things, but it still was very straightforward. And then when D decides to implement it, they're like, oh no, we've got to have like tight boxes for you to squeeze through. And then you go into a tube, which you're trying to go down the middle, but if you hit anything around the edge, there's just empty pocket of space things to get caught on everywhere. It was a mess. If it was more tight and streamlined, that's what it should have been, like tight tubes that you don't, if you just bang forwards. You don't just go bang, oh no, I have to come back out of that pocket I've just fallen into the middle of this tube and then reorientate, and oh no, I've banged my face into something else. It was a mess. It was awful. Too tiny, too small. And then they were like, oh, well, it's hard to do it on that system. Then you could have both systems. And they went, oh, we'll just take rid of 60 to freeze them. It's like, probably, and they probably were like, oh, which are most people using? Oh, the one that's by default. It's because you didn't tell people it was in there. There was no reason to use it. It was really good. I loved it.
Yeah. No, I much prefer the 6 degrees of freedom.
Yeah, which the Railjack has.
Here's a question. Would these missions not be improved instead by removing completely the degrees of freedom, using a fixed camera and doing a trench run where you're actually avoiding obstacles?
As a mini game, yeah, that could also work.
Like say as a mini game, but where you have, because
rail
these things
style,
almost Star Fox.
Rail shooter.
Space Harrier, I think, is the. Oh, maybe actually Star Fox is a good one. Yeah. Star Fox is a good one. But yeah. That could work, but I think it was more the map than the movement system. But they got rid of the movement system instead of even thinking about, oh, let's add content, let's have a map. And instead, the only piece of content we got was that stupid defense map, which was half-baked. The perfect example of half-baked content. I don't mean to be mean about it, but it really was. Getting annoyed now. Angry. We should finish. Before I get angry. Become a gorilla for some reason. I don't know why.
But my point is, but before Loz devolves into Excalibur Primate, okay,
you get a point.
Okay. Anyway, my point is, because there's a choice to avoid doing because you've got the information beforehand, I think people are just going to, no, I'm just going to skip that. I don't want to do that one. I think if it's a blind box, if you go in, you've half committed to the mission, and then you've got the choice of either doing Archwing or, abandoning the mission, that would really tell D a lot of information on, how people are receiving it. And then they could really knuckle down. They could, get to brass tacks and find out what is it that is turning people off from doing these Archwing additions to Railjack, these Archwing trench runs. Is it the whole hitting the objects and things like? But right now, because there is such a mass,
there's a mass of variables, is what it possibly could be, that turns people off. And until they get more people doing it, they won't be able to figure out what it is it needs, and they won't do that until they know what it is. So it's a catch-22. So you're right. Committing people into a mission where they're already most of the way through the mission, they've gotten some rewards or whatever. It's like, oh, fine, I'll just do the small Archwing content and move forwards. Rather than if people know from the start, oh, it's an Archwing one, quit. Or if they're trying to, if you see on the Rift, Archwing Rift, they'll be like, no, I'm just going to skip that and wait an hour for it to disappear and do the next one. I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
So
Anyway,
there's a thought. When you say narrow the data down, why not have a particular mission have a particular award, one that's say a new weapon that players will want and have to grind, and that mission has a 50-50 chance of being an Archwing or a regular mission. See how many people complain or how many people quit that mission.
That's literally what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just narrow it down to just one mission that they release that has this function.
Yeah. But like I feel that, it'll be really interesting if people would rather go, oh no. Like, it might be a case of people the reason why they quit out is because the Archwing side of it actually takes longer than doing the defense side. I mean, logic would say that's not the case, but you would be able to see people say this, right? You would have content creators say, don't bother doing the Archwing one, do the defense one, right? The defense one is actually quicker. They get that information. They're like, right, we can now make the Archwing one faster. We have information now. But if people don't, if it's an option, people will avoid it, and then they've got nothing to work from.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're already stuck in that rut. Anyway, that's it. Let's round off that. So yeah, hopefully Modular Archwing will happen at some point. Maybe, maybe not. Content comes first. I think that we'll agree on that. Let us round this off, Xeno.
Right. Well, that's it for this topic episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you want to listen to the full episode, you can find a link to it in the description below or on the end slate, which should be playing right now. Loz reads and, Loz reads all the comments and he picks some of them to be spoken about during the actual main episode. We also have memes, community shoutouts. Everything's timestamped in the main episode. So if you want to skip to specific sections, you can easily do so. Please like, comment, subscribe. There's also giveaways. I can't think of anything else. Someone's going to remind me.
Memes.
Pat your tummy, rub your head.
You could do that if you want. And yeah, thanks very much for listening. Everyone say goodbye now.
Bye-bye now. Pat my tummy,
I
rub my head.
already missed you all.
Aha.